Before the Colombians flooded the Durban harbor with dope from South America, before the so-called Big Five cartel, and before the Nigerian mafia took over the club scene, there was one notorious dope dealer who thrived by staying off the radar, yet remained deeply connected to people in powerful places. His name was Vicky Goswami. Now, in the early 90s, Vicky was one of the biggest dope dealers in South Africa. He was linked to criminal networks across the world, including the feared Yakuza in Japan. Now, in South Africa, he was allegedly affiliated with influential figures such as Ivan Khoza, and it is claimed that he used to donate money to the ANC in hopes of securing protection and immunity. He even attempted to get close to Thabo Mbeki. Now, Goswami had shooters on deck who were quick to pull the trigger. He was rich, dangerous, and untouchable, or so it seemed. He lived a life of excess, dating a famous Bollywood actress, flying in his own private jets and owning luxury villas in Dubai. But the empire eventually crumbled. Now, in 2017, Vicky and his associates, the notorious Akasha brothers from Kenya, were arrested by US DEA. They were extradited to the United States to face charges for trafficking dope across the globe. Now, in this video, we dive deep into the dangerous life, the rise and fall of Vicky Goswami.
Brother, I'll tell you something. I've been victimized so many times in my life for discrimination. While I was in Dubai prison, I sat there 15 and a half years. Do you know that?
No.
Do you know that?
No.
I was in Dubai prison for 15 and a half years. 2006, in 2nd December, they given a pardon. People with life sentence, death penalty, drug cases, who have served 3 years, they've been released. 2008, again they give the pardon. People who said only 2 years death penalty and life sentence, they've been released, except us. So what does it mean? I became a victim of the discrimination. Fine, our embassy.
In the early 90s, something strange was happening at Mumbai International Airport. Day after day, large black suitcases were quietly loaded onto long-haul flights bound for Cape Town and Johannesburg. They were heavy, tightly packed, and strangely ownerless. No passengers checked them in, and no boarding passes were issued. No one ever claimed them, yet like clockwork, they left India almost every day. Now, according to later investigations, as many as 5 such cases a day were allegedly pushed through the airport, slipping past customs with the help of corrupt insiders. When law enforcement agencies finally uncovered the truth, they made a crazy discovery. The bags were packed with men's. South Africa was almost always the final destination. At the time, the country had become one of the world's biggest markets for Menrex, also known as meth. Now, in South African townships, the drug was exploding in popularity. Demand was massive and profits were enormous. Local dealers were desperate for steady supply. Now, India, with its powerful chemical industry and easy access to precursor substances, became a key production and transit hub. One name would later stand out: Vicky Goswami. An Indian national, Goswami rose from small-time bootlegging to becoming a major international dope trafficker. Now, his operations stretched across continents, from India to the Middle East and deep into Africa. Now, court testimony would later place him at the center of Menrex manufacturing and export networks that flooded South Africa throughout the 90s. Vicky was born in Gujarat in India. The son of a former police officer, he grew up in a large family, 10 brothers and 5 sisters. Now, as a young man, he dreamt of becoming a pilot. Instead, he took a very different route. He began by selling liquor in Gujarat, a state where alcohol has been prohibited for decades. From there, he moved into distributing Menrex, supplying high-profile parties in Mumbai. Now, originally, Menrex was sold in pharmacies as a sedative, but later it was banned after it was discovered that it's highly addictive. Now, like many others at the time, Vicky saw an opportunity and he took the dope trade global. After being arrested in a dope-related case in India, Goswami fled to Dubai. He then reportedly linked up with underworld boss Dawood Ibrahim and other notorious Indian gangsters. Now Dawood Ibrahim is one of the world's most infamous crime lords, accused of running a vast international syndicate involved in dope trafficking, extortion and terrorism. But alliances in the underworld are fragile. Now in 1993, after a fallout with Dawood Ibrahim, Vicky's house in Gujarat was attacked. Vicky later left India for Southern Africa but went to Zambia to set up his own dope operation. Now over time, acting on a tip-off, Zambia's Anti-Corruption Commission launched a search for him in connection with a major drug haul. But this time, Vicky was already building deep connections across the continent. Now in Africa, he allegedly linked up with several major dope players. Now in South Africa, he was associated with Ivan Khoza, while in Kenya, he was known to be close to Baktesh Akasha, one of the notorious Akasha brothers. Now in South Africa, Vicky and Khoza were said to be associates and operating within the same shadowy networks. You see, in the early 1980s and early 1990s, Khoza was known to move amongst hustlers and political operatives. He reportedly worked with the ANC on covert operations and was believed to be instrumental in raising funds for the liberation movement. Now, before relocating to Zambia, Khoza had faced arrests linked to scams, life policy fraud, and check frauds. He later operated extensively in Zambia, especially during the years when many ANC leaders were living in exile there. While in Zambia, Khoza was arrested for possession of marijuana and fined 95 kwacha. In 1994, Zambian courts found Vicky guilty of dope-related cases and recommended that he be deported back to India. Instead, Vicky moved fast. He left Zambia almost immediately and fled to Johannesburg, where he began setting up large-scale dope operations. He reportedly even brought a private jet into the country. It is alleged that Vicky donated large sums of money to the ANC and tried to secure direct access to Nelson Mandela or the then Deputy President Thabo Mbeki, hoping for protection from prosecution, like we've seen lately with Ket Matlala. But in Vicky's case, those efforts failed. He never managed to reach Mandela or Mbeki. By the early 1990s, Menrex had become the drug of choice in Soweto, Alexander, and parts of the East Rand and West Rand, not forgetting Cape Town. It was cheap, powerful, and easy to distribute. Hostels, taverns, and informal bars turned into nighttime dope markets. Now for dealers, the South African townships made them a lot of money, and those who controlled supply made fast money, but it came at a deadly cost. While fortunes were built, lives were lost. Several high-profile hits and disappearances linked to Vicky's network in the mid-90s remain unsolved to this day. Now, these incidents were widely believed to have been connected to violent disputes within the dope game. Now, I can't verify if Vicky and Khoza were partners, but Vicky also ran a wide network of pushers who sourced dope directly or indirectly from him. Many of these guys were hustlers from Alexander and Soweto. Now, among the known names were Rox Dlamini, A.B. Pinky Kabela, Keith Mutapanyana, and Bheki Shabalala. Now, Rox Dlamini disappeared after going to meet with Ivan Khoza, reportedly to demand either dope or money, after Vicky failed to deliver a shipment that had already been paid for. Now, Rox was never seen again. Then A.B. Pinky Kabela, a former Orlando Pirates player in the 1970s, and at one point he was a bodyguard for Winnie Mandela. Now, he was shot and taken out at his home in Montana, Cape Town. It was alleged that he had been speaking to intelligence operatives about the dope game and he knew too much. And his friend Kit Mutapanyana met a similar fate. He was taken out at a wedding in Orlando West. Another key figure was Bheki Shabalala, originally from Alexander but based in Camps Bay in Cape Town. He was reportedly supplying dope to 28's gang boss Colin Stanfield, the uncle of Ralph Stanfield. Now Peggy was later found shot in the dome, locked in the boot of his car, and investigators discovered that he had been sending large sums of money to Johannesburg businessmen allegedly linked to Vicky. Now others within the network survived, protected by powerful connections to police officers and politicians. Now after the disappearance of Rox Dlamini and a series of murders, Vicky Goswami was firmly on the police radar. Once again, facing pressure from the South African law enforcement, he fled, this time back to Mumbai. But Vicky's stay in Mumbai was short-lived. He soon moved to Dubai again, and that's where his life took an even more dramatic turn. It was in Dubai that he met the beautiful Bollywood actress Mamta Kulkarni. Now soon after, the two allegedly became romantically involved. Now from the outside, Vicky was living like a rock star. He had deep connections amongst international dope dealers, hustlers and money launderers with influence that stretched across continents. Now in 1997, he hosted a lavish party in Dubai for the who's who's of Bollywood. Reports later claim that the stars returned to India with extravagant gifts, including expensive mobile phones and even luxury cars. Now the party raised eyebrows. Later that same year, Vicky was arrested in Dubai in a joint operation involving the Dubai police, South African authorities and Interpol. He was caught with Mendrax worth an estimated $6 million and was sentenced to life imprisonment. But prison did not stop Vicky's career. While behind bars, Vicky continued to operate. He had access to phones and used it to broker deals from inside prison. In court, he claimed that within 2 years of being incarcerated, he had made $3 million by helping other criminals launder money across the world. Now at the same time, he was still earning money from his dope operations in South Africa. Now Vicky also claimed that he had a relative, AJ Goswami, who was his right-hand man, allegedly handling all his dirty work on his behalf, including ordering hits on rivals. Now AJ Goswami strongly denied all of these allegations. While in prison, Vicky reportedly began cooperating with Dubai authorities, snitching on his associates, and it is also alleged that he paid around 10 million rands to people in positions of power in Dubai, and not long after, his life sentence was reduced to 15 years. Then on the 15th of November 2012, Vicky Goswami was released. Now after walking free, he moved to Kenya, where he reconnected with his old associate, Baktesh Akasha. Now Baktesh was the son of one of Africa's most powerful dope lords, a man credited with creating the East African drug route. Now drugs were moved from Pakistan, Asia, by fishing boats to Kenya, then onwards to South Africa, with most shipments eventually reaching Europe. You see, at the time, this route was harder for law enforcement to detect. Now, as other paths into Europe were being shut down. Now, when Baktesh's father was assassinated, Baktesh and his brothers inherited the empire. They expanded it aggressively, taking the operation to the next level and earning a reputation for extreme ruthlessness. According to allegations, Vicky and Baktesh were involved in the laying down of a South African dope transporter known as Pinky, not the former Orlando Pirates player, but another man with the same nickname. Now this Pinky was smuggling dope from East African dealers into South Africa. He was also the right-hand man of another South African dope kingpin known as Armstrong. Now Armstrong was once friends with both Vicky, fled, now this time taking his operations to Hong Kong. Now during this period, Baktesh allegedly began buying tons of ABBA, a chemical used to cook Mendrax, at a very low price. Now ABBA had been confiscated from Armstrong by the police and later sold to Baktesh, his friend. Armstrong soon found himself in serious trouble. He was on him $200,000 upfront, and in exchange for $500,000 worth of dope and 25% of his business in Congo. But Armstrong later realized that Vicky arranged for AJ Goswami to organize shooters. Now Pinky was shot 32 times in Johannesburg. Now after that, Baktash allegedly arranged for Investigators later discovered that Vicky was also importing chemical substances from the Avon factory in India into South Africa and Kenya. Now these chemicals were used to manufacture teak, also known as crystal. Once Indian authorities uncovered the role of the Avon factory in supplying these chemicals, the facility was shut down by 2014. Then law enforcement was starting to close in. Now that year, the US Drug Enforcement Administration, the DEA, launched a major sting operation targeting an international dope trafficking syndicate based in Mombasa, Kenya. Now the network was supplying large quantities of dope, with much of the shipment intended for the United States market.
I just want your small interview regarding the Thane case, Thane drug case. So I have a few questions for you. Can I go ahead?
Sure, no problem.
Okay, so Thane police alleges that you are the kingpin of the 2,000 crores drug haul. What do you have to say?
First of all, my brother, I sent you details
Okay.
on your WhatsApp, and which you know that thing holds zero value.
Okay.
So where does it come 2,000 crore?
Okay, so you mean to say the chemicals which were manufactured by the Avon company holds zero value in the market, right?
Which I saw it myself on the net, and which I forwarded to you, and which you read it yourself. So what does it mean?
Yeah, sure. So why do you think Thane police is trying to frame you or Mamta Kulkarni for this? For this drug case?
Yeah, because obviously, you know, I'm sitting in extradition in Kenya, and they are the one who's putting pressure on them to put my name so they can extradite to be America.
Who is America is putting pressure on India, right?
Yes, definitely.
But why do you think so?
Brother, I'll tell you something. I've been a victimized so many times in my life for discrimination. While I was in Dubai prison, I sat there 15 and a half years. Do you know that?
No.
Do you know that?
No.
Huh?
No.
I was in Dubai prison for 15 and a half years. 2006, in 2nd December, they given a pardon. People with life sentence, death penalty, drug cases, who have served 3 years, they've been released. 2008, again they give the pardon. People who said only 2 years death penalty and life sentence, they've been released, except us. So what does it mean? I became a victim of the discrimination. Fine, our embassy knew about it, our consulate knew about it, our ambassador knew about it in Abu Dhabi, even our foreign ministry knew about it also.
DEA agents went undercover, posing as representatives for Colombian dope cartel. Now, through a series of meetings in Nairobi and Mombasa in Kenya, members of the Akasha organization, including Baktash and his brother Ibrahim Akasha, they negotiated dope deals and delivered large quantities of heroin and mendrags to DEA confidential sources. Now, during these meetings, the syndicate leaders, the Akasha brothers, they spoke freely about their operations. Many of these conversations were secretly recorded, giving the DEA powerful evidence against the network. Now, after the arrests, Kenyan government cooperated with US authorities. Then on the 29th of January 2017, Kenya extradited 4 men to the United States: Vicky Goswami, the Akasha brothers, and Ghulam Hussein. It marked the final collapse of a global dope empire that had operated in the shadows for decades.